Auburn took care of business in Atlanta, but now it's time for a rematch in San Antonio. Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike Z, and thank you so much for making the War Report one of your first listens every single day. Joining me, as he does every week, is my good friend Jacob Goins, host of On the Line Sports Talk on 106.7, purveyor of all things Auburn. Jacob, Atlanta was crazy. I am so blessed that I got to witness Janai Broom's National Player of the Year moment. I'm going to stop calling it a Heisman moment because this is basketball, baby. And it was incredible, the applause that he got returning from injury and then immediately snatching a rebound with one hand and then hitting a three. I don't think Disney writers could have wrote up a better script for Janai Broom to be the hero and maybe secure that National Player of the Year award. But before we move on, I wanted to get your thoughts, because we didn't get to talk about it, on what you saw in Atlanta. And is this the best version of the Auburn Tigers going into San Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many good things that happened in Atlanta, right? You had the game against Michigan, and then, of course, the Elite Eight against Michigan State. And so many people, myself included, we were worried about the matchup with Michigan because of the bigs, right? Because of Golden, because of Danny Wolf, Trey Donaldson, of course, too. The storylines, they were all there. And I think Michigan, in this path for Auburn, posted one of the biggest threats to beat Auburn in the NCAA tournament because of the matchups and things like that. And Auburn handled that very well, making the comeback, getting out to a lead, and then putting Michigan away. Then you move into the Michigan State game where, I'll be honest, I felt pretty good about the matchup. I was just nervous because it's the Elite Eight and you never know what can happen. But when you just played 40 minutes of basketball, I felt like Auburn was a much better team start to finish, top to bottom, than Michigan State before the game even started.
Right.
And I think you saw that play out at State Farm Arena on Sunday. I wish I could have been there. I wasn't able to make that happen. But I've heard so many stories, and you could hear it through the TV and hear it on the radio. And the crowd was there, man. They stepped up and did what they needed to do and made it Neville Arena East. And Auburn played really, really good, even when Janai Broom got hurt. And we talk all the time about, right, historical moments and big-time things. And in every NCAA tournament run, there's those shots in those moments. We had several of them with the 2019 Final Four team, and we've already got a couple with this Final Four team. I look at the Tahad Pettiford turnaround and one jumper from 18 feet on the right wing. That's going to go down in Auburn basketball history as one of the greatest shots because that was him solidifying I'm him type of a moment as a freshman after, somebody said he was too small. I can't remember who did that, Trey Donaldson. And then you move on to the Michigan State game, and you mentioned it, Janai Broom getting injured. The life had been sucked out of the building. Every fan at home was just sitting there like, oh no. Like, you felt okay about the game result against Michigan State at that moment, but it was, we just lost our player of the year. We're not going to have Janai Broom for the Final Four. And then you said it. You could not have, this was drama to the max, man. Grey's Anatomy doesn't have what this had with Janai Broom walking out of the tunnel, pointing at the table, subbing in, one-handed rebound, and then knocks down the three. That will be a shot that Auburn fans remember forever. And whether you win or lose in the Final Four or the national championship game, that's one of those moments where you'll never forget it. You'll know exactly where you were, what you were doing, who you were with, and you'll remember that shot forever. And so you look at what all happened in Atlanta, and Auburn played some of their best basketball of the season, Mike, and now they're doing that heading into the Final Four, and Auburn fans are really, really excited about it.
Yeah, look, it's being said that Auburn owns the entire state of Michigan. I think there is actually an Auburn, Michigan. I'm pretty sure there's Auburn, Michigan. But look, great game for Janai there versus Michigan State in the Elite Eight. 10 of 13, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists and 1 block, 1 steal, 29 minutes played for Janai Broom. Turning our attention to Florida, Chad Baker-Mazara and Miles Kelly were combined 5 of 20 versus Michigan State. This is the second straight game that pair has had a tough time shooting the basketball. Now, Chad Baker's 2 were 2 really big momentum keeping shots that he was able to drain. Miles Kelly had some timely shots as well, but those guys were also combined 3 of 14 from 3. So the three's not falling for them. Does that worry you any headed into this matchup with Florida? This is a Florida team that was the hottest team in America headed into the NCAA tournament. They were the hottest team headed into the SEC tournament. And, look, they've had closer games than Auburn has had so far through this NCAA tournament, with Walter Clayton Jr. being Mr. Big Shot literally for the last 2 months. But what do you see here for that pair? And should Auburn be worried?
Yeah, and I know we'll talk more about Florida in particular in a little bit, but the pair of Miles Kelly and Chad Baker, it's in there, right? You know that the shots are there, the playmaking is there, the IQ is there, the skill is there. Like, nobody's worried about them if they lost it or if they just don't have it or if it was a fluke earlier in the season. I just don't think that's the case at all. The question is, can you get it back? Can you bring it back on the biggest stage that you've ever played in? And it's going to be the Final Four in San Antonio. And if you do, Auburn's going to win a national championship. If you get Miles Kelly shooting the way that he did in Rupp Arena or down the stretch or even the first time in Atlanta, you are going to be a really hard team to beat. If you get Chad Baker in that mode that we saw him against Creighton in Michigan, where he was aggressive, he was smart, he was making the right plays, you're going to be just fine. And you are going to be a really hard team to beat. And it's kind of a miracle, Mike, when you think about it. The fact that Auburn is in the Final Four when their best shooter had 2 bad games, Chad Baker was inconsistent, but you had a freshman step up and drop a 20 bomb on Michigan. Janai Broom proved why he's the National Player of the Year. Denver Jones has stepped up his offensive game to a level we have not seen this year. And so I'm not concerned about Miles and Chad getting going and hitting some shots. You're just going to need them, because I don't think you can go further without them hitting some shots. You've made it this far, and that's great. But to beat a Florida team, and then if you're fortunate enough to do that and either play Duke or Houston, especially if it's Duke, you're going to have to score some points, man. And you need those types of guys to step up and knock down shots.
You do. Again, Denver Jones, only 2 of 6, but he did the job defensively as well, too. Look, Auburn is the deepest team in America still, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. And that depth is what got them there. I think it will continue to carry them. Miles Kelly famously, after a non-conference game, came to the postgame and said, you never know who the guy is going to be that's going to be able to go for 20 to 30 points in a night on this team. And that's bared out. Like I said, he said that in December, and oh my goodness, have they had guy after guy step up. But look, I have said that if Auburn wins the championship, we're going to be talking about the historic run that Tahad Pettiford has had through this tournament. We're going to talk about him right after a quick word from our friends at the Vibe Vault. Visit the Vibe Vault if you're looking for a fresh cut. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite I in Phoenix City, Alabama. Our guy Steve Watkins over there serving the community in every way possible, but helping keep us fresh. Jacob, if you ever make it down to Phoenix City, you got to go check out my guy Steve. He's serving something great up over there, and it's a real cool setup. It's one of the coolest barbershops I think I've ever been in. But Steve, he's got style as an interior designer as well as a barber. We appreciate him for sponsoring this segment. Please go check them out. Also, our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get 15% off that Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. The Final Four is going to be stressful. The Rogue Shop can help keep you calm. So rogueshop.com, use code REPORT, 50% off. Also, our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights. Code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills, Golden's Cast Iron Building, Lifetime Products, helping support the work that we're doing here at the War Report and serving the community. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Let's jump back in. Jacob, Tahad Pettiford. Now, you mentioned it.
I love Tahad Pettiford.
Trey Donaldson gave him the too small signal and then didn't score another point after that. Tahad Pettiford scored many points after that. This young man is incredible. What a trade for Auburn. Letting Aiden Holloway walk, right? Aiden said that he was sold a Bill of Dreams or Field of Dreams or whatever he said. And Tahad Pettiford said, Bruce is my guy.
Yeah.
I'll do anything for him because he'll do anything for me. The dichotomy of the two 5-star freshmen at that position is incredible year over year. Talk to me about Tahad Pettiford. I love Tahad Pettiford. You love Tahad Pettiford. Auburn fans love Tahad Pettiford.
That boy's cold, man. He's so cold, and he is, without a doubt. I said this a couple of weeks ago on my show. I think I may have said it here, and I will continue to say it. Tahad Pettiford has solidified himself as my favorite guard to ever play for Auburn basketball. It's a hot take, but he's my favorite because of the swagger that he plays with. He's got that Jersey attitude, but he's also just a kid, man. You can see it. He's having fun. He's relentless when he needs to be, and he can knock down those shots. I mean, the amount of times he just steps up and hits one of those FU threes, it's incredible. It's awesome to see, and he's not afraid of the moment, Mike. He's not afraid. He wants the basketball in his hands, and what should give you confidence, Auburn fans, if you don't have it already, Bruce Pearl puts the basketball in his hands. He doesn't play like a freshman. He plays like a sophomore, a junior, a high-level guy, and he doesn't make mistakes. And I think he's really gotten better in the NCAA tournament about moving the basketball, orchestrating the offense. There was a time down the stretch of the regular season where when the offense was in the half court and Tahad Pettiford was running point, it kind of got stuck a little bit. The ball wasn't moving a whole lot. A lot of dribbling for Tahad. That's not the case anymore. He's doing what he needs to do and taking over in late games. And I love this kid. I mean, what more could you ask for a freshman guard off the bench, by the way, who accepted that role, plays starter minutes, and is a big reason why Auburn's in the Final Four. He steps up when the moment is big, when the lights are brightest, and they're not going to be much brighter than they will be in San Antonio this weekend. And so I expect big things from Tahad Pettiford on Saturday, and then if Auburn plays again on Monday.
Look, he started this tournament scoring 16 points versus Alabama State. He dropped 23 points versus Creighton, 20 points versus Michigan, only 10 points versus Michigan State, but we knew that was going to be a tough game. So far, Tahad Pettiford, maybe Auburn's most consistent player so far through this tournament, Jacob. But as you mentioned, playing starter minutes off the bench. Right. He's usually coming into the game around like the 15 and a half minute mark with 15 and a half left in the first half. And whenever he comes in, you just he is a big shot maker that every team wishes they had. Now, Auburn has so many of them. Denver Jones can absolutely destroy you. Miles Kelly, we saw him knock down like 7 or 8 threes so far in a game here in this tournament. These guys have so many weapons, but Tahad Pettiford, to me, is the thing that puts them over the edge. In that Michigan game, we saw him do kind of like a pirouette thing. He does things that you can't really teach. It's just talent.
It's incredible.
Man, yeah, it's just talent. And he can go out and he can create his own shot in almost any situation. So if you're going to win a championship, Jacob, let's talk about this Final Four. What is really kind of a historic Final Four. Only the second time we've seen all number 1 seeds make it up to the Final Four. Weirdly enough, it was in San Antonio the last time this happened. I believe it was North Carolina, Memphis. Who were the other 2 teams?
I can't remember.
Memphis
was one of them for sure.
Yeah, like Duke maybe. It was a weird. There was kind of a weird team in there. But it was all number 1 seeds. Mm-hmm. All number 1 seeds made it to the tournament. And you've got that this time. Now, Florida, they earned their number one over that last part of the season. Like the last week of the season, they went absolutely bonkers to get their number one seed. But you've got a Final Four where Auburn has played the other three teams in the Final Four already. So you're looking at two rematches if you want to win a national championship. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this, where we get to the Final Four and the number one overall seed has played the other three seeds.
Yeah, it's wild to see. And I think what you saw through the entire NCAA tournament, and now that you're looking at this Final Four, is there was a clear separation this season in college basketball. Yes, the entire season was better than it's ever been, one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen in college basketball, but the teams at the top are better than they've ever been. And I don't think there's any argument for anybody right now in this Final Four. There's nobody out there that can say, yeah, they didn't deserve to be there. Whether it's Auburn, Florida, Duke, or Houston, they proved it in the regular season, and they doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down in the NCAA tournament. These four are the best. And if any of them win the national title on Monday night, you'll say, yeah, they were probably the best team, or they deserve to win it. Like there's no argument. There's no fluke. There's no Cinderella story here. These are the four best teams in college basketball. And it's going to be wild to see Auburn go up against Florida again, who beat them by 9 inside of Neville Arena. And it was worse than that. If you watched that game, we were there. We watched it. Florida had their way with Auburn that day. And then you're either going to play Duke, who you lost to by 5 or 6, I think 6 in Cameron Indoor. And then you squeaked by Houston in game 2 of the season. It's going to be two completely different teams, whether it's Auburn and Florida, Auburn Duke, or Auburn Houston. All three of those teams are different than when you played them the first time. And Auburn's going to be different than when they played Auburn the first time, if that makes sense. I mean, you're dealing with two totally different time periods of November, December, and February versus now here in early April. And so Auburn can't worry about what they did in the first 3 games against these teams. You got to worry about right now and worry about where you get your points, how you run your defense, and what you do in certain moments against certain matchups. And look, I'll be honest, I know we got to wrap up. I think Florida is really scary. I think they're really good. And I think Todd Golden is a great head coach. Florida scares me. And even if you get by them, congratulations. Here's your reward. Either Duke, who scores 90 points a game and plays legitimate defense with the other player of the year candidate, Cooper Flagg, or you take on Houston, who shut down Tennessee and has proven to be probably the best defensive team in the NCAA tournament. So it's going to be really, really difficult. Is Auburn good enough to do it? Absolutely. And I think they absolutely can. I just don't know, man. It's a crapshoot. It really, really is. And Auburn is an underdog in this game against Florida. I believe that's the first time since they went to Tuscaloosa back in the regular season that Auburn is an underdog. And so we're going to have to wait and see, man. Should be some really, really fun games.
Yeah, it is. Not just, I think, again, first time in modern day basketball history where not only will the best team have won, the undisputed best team.
Yeah.
Jacob, and not just the hottest team headed into the tournament. You know what I mean? Like not just the team that got hot at the end, but it was the best team probably from start to finish, right? Like whoever wins this, these teams have been near the top of the rankings. Like Auburn had to climb the rankings really quickly, but man, they sat up there for like 10 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Duke never went away. Houston never went away. Florida, they've been a top 5 or 6 team in the country for a majority of the season. So this is going to be fun basketball. I'm headed out to San Antonio tomorrow. If you're watching this, then today. But look, I'm excited for what Bruce Pearl has in front of him. He's on the back half, and you got to get it done. You have to get it done here, I think, this year, because I don't know how many more opportunities he's going to get to make it back to a Final Four, have the type of roster that he has now, and be in position to not only win it, but have the advantages that they've had. First round in Lexington, second round in Atlanta. Come on, man. Yeah. You talked about that crowd. It was Neville East, because Auburn, you could throw a stone and hit Atlanta from Auburn, man. It was almost unfair. It was almost unfair to Michigan and Michigan State because I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that crowd was so loud the entire time.
Yeah.
They were not going to let Auburn lose. Tahad Pettiford was not going to let Auburn lose. Janai Broom was not going to let Auburn lose. Bruce Pearl was not going to let Auburn lose in Atlanta. Just wasn't going to happen. So fun stuff, my friend. I appreciate you for joining me. All right, before we get out of here, I'm not going to talk to you again before there's a champion. So I got to get a prediction before we get out of here. Give me a prediction, Auburn versus Florida. And if they're moving on, give me a prediction of who your championship is and who wins and why.
Man, your listeners and your watchers are not going to be a fan of me after what I'm about to say. I think Auburn is a really good team, and I think Auburn might even be better than everybody here. I just have a bad feeling that Florida somehow finds a way to get the edge against Auburn down the stretch. And I think Walter Clayton hits a shot. I think Auburn may deal with some foul trouble here, and maybe the shots don't fall in San Antonio. I just have a bad feeling that Florida wins this game. It'll be better than the first time. It'll be close. I'm going to take Florida like 85, 82, something like that. I don't know, man. I have a bad feeling that Florida and Todd Golden have a game plan, and they're going to be – I think Auburn's going to have a game plan to be ready to go. I have a bad feeling that Auburn drops this one. And we're going to be disappointed, but don't be angry and frustrated because this is still a historical season for Auburn. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not.
All right.
And then I'll have Florida playing Duke, and I think it'll probably be at that point – I think Duke, man. I think Duke has proven that they're a legit team, which I didn't buy into them early, but I'm buying into them now. So that's my prediction. I hope I'm wrong, Auburn fans. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what I'm going with, and I hate to do it.
I'm picking Auburn. I think that it's really, really difficult to beat the same team twice in one season. I think the team that wins is a little bit of a disadvantage. From a psychological standpoint, if you're Florida, you maybe fall into that area, that gray area where you think because you did it the first time, those things will work the next time. Sure. I think Bruce Pearl praised when asked about the success of this team, the first thing he did was he praised Mike Burgermaster and Stephen Pearl and Ira Bowman, the other guy. It's escaping me right now, but if I forgot you, don't shoot me. He said his staff, he's got the best staff in college basketball. We did a sit down with Mike Burgermaster where he went through their scout. These guys are incredibly detailed. I've watched them intently after every tournament game scout the next team. I think these guys are going to have a plan. Auburn played about the only way they could have played for Florida to beat them in Neville earlier this season, and it was still a 9-point game. They shot terribly. I'm not expecting that this go round. Somebody is going to be the hero for Auburn this go round. So I'm picking the Tigers, right? And I'll tell you what, like I don't think there are any cakewalks after the Sweet 16, right? But I'm picking Auburn over Florida by double digits.
Wow,
yeah,
double digits.
I think we see a historic shooting game from Auburn, and I think that they shoot somewhere in the area of like 57 to 59% in this game. Wow. It's going to be something crazy, and I have my reasons that I can't say before, but I a tiny. I don't claim to have inside information a whole lot, but I think that I have my reasons. So. We'll see how that goes. And then I think it's Auburn. Weirdly, I think it's Auburn versus Houston for the championship. I picked Duke in my bracket, but now that I've seen this thing play out, I think that Houston gives them probably the hardest game they've had so far in this tournament. And we see them move on to face Auburn. Either way, we're going to get a rematch of some sort, right? Like if Auburn wins and Jacob, the story is going to continue for Auburn after Saturday. Dylan Cartwell said, I want to play basketball in April a few weeks ago when I asked him about like, hey, how do you lost to Yale? And he gave me an epic answer that he's repeated since I asked him. He said, look, man, we have to have a sense of urgency. So we got to have a sense of urgency because if we lose, no more team meals. No more team rides, no more buses, no more Auburn basketball. If we lose another one, the next time you lose, you go home and it's over. And I'm not ready to go home. I want to play basketball into April. And boy, has he shown up since he said that.
Absolutely.
So I think these guys will continue to show up. And there's something about an unstoppable will that is hard to bet against. And I think that Auburn has an unstoppable will right now. I think that the Janai Broom Heisman moment, National Player of the Year moment, it was a signal to the universe that this story will not end on the Saturday.
Here we go.
You got to cap that with a championship, man. I think the Tigers deliver it. So I'm ready to see them do it. Jacob Goins, my good friend, thank you for joining me, man. Before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you could tune in Monday through Friday if you're in the Auburn-Opelika area, ESPN 106.7 on your radio dial, or you could tune in anywhere across the state, across the country, ESPNAU.com. I'm on 2 to 4 Monday through Friday. We're talking Final Four. We're talking a little Auburn baseball, transfer portal stuff, spring practice for football. Tune in, ESPNAU.com.
Guys, that's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you're watching this, you're on YouTube, but check us out on podcast, every single podcast platform. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. We'll be back at you guys tomorrow. If you like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform, TW Report on TikTok. Signing off, and as always, War Eagle.